Greetings and welcome back, housemates, to Learn to Play Endless Legend. I'm Phwop, and this is the Necrophage, and we're about to hit Era 2, Technological Era 2, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. So note some little things popped out of the ground here, and we're notified that we hit Era 2. So, what happens in Era 2? Iron Tier 2 weapons and armor, as well as accessories, are available for heroes and units. These are a significant jump in power. I would say it's a little on the order of 60% better than previous equipment. Newly trained units will now be veterans, that is level 2, and cost more. That means that it'll take longer for you to build these units, but they will have 20% increased stats right off the get-go. I think this is a great mechanic that lets newly created units jump right into combat with higher level, with more experienced units. I find that if I go through a lot of combat, my units I've been using will always stay a level or 2, sometimes even 3 ahead of my era. But since your units will always be of a level equal to your era, it does mean that new recruits are not useless. Watchtower Foundations revealed. We'll talk about what that means in a second. There is a specific technology that lets you build watchtowers from your city across your region. And watchtowers act as outposts and recovery healing stations for your armies. Empire Plan 2 is available, so that means level 2 Empire Plan bonuses are available to those who have the influence to purchase them, and they are all pretty good. So it's time to beef up your influence if you haven't already. And the first person to get here unlocks the legendary deeds of this era for everyone, even if those other people have not yet achieved Era 2. Remember, what unlocks Era 2 is the completion of 9 researches in Era 1, and it's always 9 researches to unlock the next era. Alright, so let's close this down. Here is the research we completed to get to the next era, and we can put another one in the queue later. Alright, so first things first, let's talk about the Empire Plan bonuses. So earlier I told you that you can always simulate your Empire Plan and see how much it's going to cost. The new bonuses we've unlocked are plus 30% attack on units. That is a third increase on every unit in your Empire, extra attack. Remember, attack is important for getting critical hits, for not missing, and doing full damage, taking full advantage of your damage attributes. That's a ton. It's a huge bonus. You do, of course, if you want it, you have to also pay for a 20% cost reduction on cities. That's just how it works. And note that while the first level costs 20 influence, the next level costs an additional 40. So you really have to have the influence, and this is increased per additional city you have. So the cost here can really ramp up if you want multiple high-level bonuses. One of the bonuses I always have trouble dealing without is 25 approval on every city. What? So good. And for science and industry, 33% building production costs. So cheaper buildings, faster to build buildings, actually, not cheaper, unless you're paying dust for them, is incredibly good and can really get your cities on their feet quickly. Lastly, over in economy and population, remember that plus 3 dust per person producing dust on each city is totally up to you how good that is. It depends on how much population you put into producing dust. And 25% building buyout reduction. This lets you straight up buy buildings cheaper and faster as long as you have a ton of dust. So if you are really burning through the dust, this can be incredibly powerful. And if you're not, then both of these can be a total waste of influence. Optimally, you would have all of these in peace and these in war. Totally up to you. I find the approval is great. Remember that high approval across your empire results in more of food, industry, dust, and science. More of all of it. It can also be used to, in place of certain researches. Remember, you can only have 9 research per era if you want to efficiently progress. So you can use this to make up for a lack of approval, approval things. All right, so for me, it's turn 31. That means I have 9 more turns to gather influence. I will have 36 more influence. That'll give me 70. That'll give me 83 influence total. I could get that. Am I gonna kick up the military? So I can take. So I could take these 2. That would give me 80. I don't think I'll need the extra attack. The unit cost reduction. I don't actually plan on building so many units. The nice thing about the necrophage in particular is that once I get the proliferator, which is in era 2, then my armies will build themselves. The approval versus the building cost reduction is a tough one. I might actually go with building cost reduction. Because that will make the megapole cheaper. And in that case, +2 vision, I don't really want to pay for that. 20% unit cost, I can even skip that. And this will be a nice, cheap way to use these new Era 2 plan stuffs. All right, so let's then talk about watchtowers. So watchtower foundations revealed. This is a watchtower foundation. There's a couple in each region, and they are now visible to you. There are 3 in our starting region right here. You can build districts on top of them, but not if you've built a watchtower on them already. Watchtowers are particularly useful against the Forgotten, which is the race from this expansion that happens to be right up on me, so I'm definitely going to want to invest in watchtowers. So what do watchtowers do? Well, you can't naturally build them. You have to research it first, and this leads me to one of the must-have technologies of Era 2, Imperial Highways. So Imperial Highways gives you a couple city improvements. You get, for free, it creates roads on your empire. Roads connect cities together, and it will connect you even to people who do not have Imperial Highways. So I'll automatically get roads to the Forgotten, even if they don't have Imperial Highways themselves, but it will only extend to their regions adjacent to my own. Then there are 2 city improvements that you can build in each region. The right-of-way is, like most buildings, it's just something you build, and once you build it, you have it. It says roads are automatically created between cities in adjacent regions, one of which having this improvement built. Oh, okay. So right-of-way will extend your roads into enemy territory. Just researching this, I believe, extends roads throughout your empire. Also, when you build this, all roads in this region improve to paved roads, which grants better movement bonuses and allows trade routes to travel down these. Trade routes are completely automated, and you can trade within your empire. You will gain gold and science, and it's totally worth it. Even in a complete warlike empire, you can generate a significant amount of extra gold and science, which are great things that you will always want more of. And they will definitely pay for themselves. Also, so the second thing that you're able to build are watchtowers. So as you can see here, watchtowers grant 15% health regen, 3 vision. That vision is also detection. and they gain plus 20 fortification. Maybe, yeah, okay. I'm not totally sure about the fortification. That might apply to the city. It reads like it applies to the Watchtower. So Watchtower's health regen effects are applied to tiles adjacent to them as well. Remember that the base health regen for most races is 5%. So standing next to a Watchtower gives you quadruple regeneration speed. For us, because we already get a bonus 5%, that means we will regenerate at 25% of our max health a turn, which means only 1 or 2 turns for a moderately wounded unit to be back to full strength if they stand next to a Watchtower. There are further upgrades for Watchtowers that can cause them to deal damage passively to nearby enemies, even if you're not declaring war or anything, which can kind of convince enemies not to come near you. And the detection is a huge boon against Forgotten. Also, almost any army can be cloaked if you have the expansion that includes the Forgotten race, and Watchtowers will help protect you against that, or at least inconvenience people. Remember, they can only be built on their little Watchtower zone, so I'd want Watchtowers here and here. It looks like these Watchtowers would only help me from preventing these guys from sneaking into this zone. Watchtowers are pretty cool, especially as health regen. It's one of the few ways you can really up your health regen. I may not have mentioned it, but you also regenerate health in the garrison faster than normal. Okay, so we've done Empire plans, we've done Watchtowers, newly trained units level is pretty easy to understand. Let's take a quick look at Tier 2 iron weapons, just so you get a sense of how much better they are. So here's our Forager. This is our Forager 3, our third iteration of the Forager. We're equipped with all Tier 1 items, as you can see. And Tier 1 items have now been made obsolete. If you want to go backwards, you totally can, but they no longer show up here naturally. Okay, so it's 162 production for this outfit. If we take a look at the claws, Tier 1 Iron Claws add 12 attack and 10 damage. Tier 2 adds 18 attack and 18 damage. That is a 50% attack increase and an 80% damage increase. Also, you note that Tier 1 Claws give us Sweep Strike Back 2, which deals 75% of our damage to people we counterattack and people next to both us and the unit we're counterattacking. Here we get Sweep Strike Back 3. Now if I equip these, that's the only way you're going to get to read the tooltip. But note that these do 25% more damage. That is full damage to everyone hit by our Sweep Strike Back. And you can note there are 4 dots here. That means there's a Sweep Strike Back 4 that actually deals, yeah, you guessed it, 125% damage to both people you hit. So you actually do more damage on counterattacks than you do on regular attacks and their AoE. So the claws are a good deal. And even though they cost 36 industry, as you can see down there, you'll note that our industry cost only increased by 12, which means they're actually not that much more than we were already paying. So, not a bad deal. The shield increases a lot. Note that the previous shield adds 4 defense flat and block 1 and sharp sense 1. The Tier 2 shield adds 6 defense, that's 50% more defense, a 5% increase in health, which isn't even on here, and gives you block 2 and sharp sense 2. Block 2 is twice as effective as block 1, reducing damage by 20% from melee, and sharp sense 2 is 50% better, reducing range damage by 30%. Of course, then you also get the Tier 2 axe, which instead of having Range Slayer 1, has Range Slayer 2. The axe also has significantly improved everything because it actually gives you more initiative and some extra damage up in there. So, choices are great. We're going to go with Tier 2. The Tier 2 helm gives you 4% extra attack and twice as much health. Yes, please. The Tier 2 cuirass gives us 2/3 more defense and more than twice as much bonus health. I'll take that. And the tier 2 boots gives us twice as much initiative and defense, and increases our initiative by 4%, or our defense by 4% over and above. Lastly, our choices here, we get improved movement 1, we can get improved movement 2, or we can get improved vision and sharp sense 2. If you're not using a shield, then this ring can make you more resistant, but generally movement is the way to go. So improved movement 2 increases our initiative by 5 and increases our battle movement by 1, but the big bonus is it increases our strategic movement by 2. Whereas the old version increased our initiative, so we get 2/3 more initiative and 1 extra strategic movement. But your battle movement will remain the same. So I highly suggest upgrading. It cost us 60 more production, but that's less than 1/3 for a significantly more powerful unit. The Necrodrone, we'll come back to that when we're going to build one. But I just wanted to give you an idea of how much more powerful the Era 2 weapons are, and it's important to keep your unit designs up to date. I know that part of the game can seem confusing and a pain in the butt, but if you do not upgrade your soldiers, they will be at a significant disadvantage, and the beginning of each era is a great time to take stock. Alright, so I'll be doing another video when I cover what the tech choices will be in this era. Note that almost all of your unique researches for most races will be in eras 1 and 2. And it can make Era 2 is jam-packed full of researches that it's really hard to give up on, so it's where you make a lot of tough decisions. But until then, that's enough for one video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and consider how downhill things are going to get from here.